once you filled out your company profile, invited your team members, filled out your tax codes and your sales categories, it's time to enter your projects. Now, the first thing you need for a project is a client. I'm going to go ahead and add a client in. This client does not have a company name. I'm going to go ahead and just put their contact name. I filled out my contact name for my client, the phone number and email, and their address. I put it as primary. You can add additional addresses here. You can tag your client if they're a residential client. You can also type in a new tag if you'd like. I'm going to do this. They're a residential client and it was a referral. You can have as many tags as you'd like. You can also add notes here. For instance, John Smith, preferred client. Just a nice little place to include any of your notes. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit save. That Megan Lang is my first client entered into the system. Now, there is a code under her name because the system requires a code, and it's going to code everything from your proposals, invoices, purchase orders. Eventually, you'll know Megan Lang's code is ML001, and that will show up on everything that you do. There won't be any questions on your documentation or with your client. Now, I'm going to go ahead and set up Megan's project. We're going to come here, and because I don't have any projects here yet, there's no list. I'm going to hit create project, and I'm going to name this project Willow Lane. I'm going to choose my client here, and we're going to say the start date, however you'd like to consider your start date. I'm going to say February 28th is the first day we spoke, and she has a deadline that I'm going to include in here for August 31st. So let's say the 29th. She wants the weekend. Now, the budget is really useful. We're going to see this later in locations. I'm going to go ahead and set the budget at $200,000. The status is always going to start off as active. You can archive later on. The About section is a great space to include any of your general notes for the project. For instance, 1950s construction, light remodel, expected for bathrooms and kitchen. Client requested paint colors immediately. Something like this is really helpful. And this could just be the starting point of what you've spoken about with your client about this project. So any notes that you have, you want to include here, you have a bit of space for that. Anything else, for instance, this one, I'll later come in, and once I've started adding specs in, I start creating tasks and managing the project, I can transfer that information into tasks. You can also assign someone to the project from your team. I am going to assign myself. And then this is in general details. You'll notice here you have client details. In the client details, you want to say what the client's billing address is. If it's different here, you can add a new address into the client and create the billing address from there. I'm going to say that the address I've included is the billing address. You can include your site address, and you can also include the shipping address. You'll see that the default is exempt for tax. I'm going to go ahead and take that out. What I do want to include is which tax code I've created that will apply to every item in this project. I'm going to go ahead and hit Maryland. Just to review, I've got my client's primary address, which we created inside the client section, and it's the one that I'm going to use for their billing address. I've entered a site address I've included a shipping address. I've made up a receiver. This is not a real receiver. Don't try to contact them. Um, and then the point of contact comes from my client information. I can always change that if need be. Also add a point of contact. For instance, say the client has a husband. Hit save. Now I've created my first project.